Ohio, and I am currently married, but I would like to speak with all of you and just kind of discuss, dating with cancer and some of the effects that it has on you, and what advice would you be able to give to our viewers or to someone on the platform. So I am going to start off with Liz. If you can just kind of tell me, what your situation is. Are you dating? Married? What love like looks for? What love like looks for you?
Hey y'all, so my name is Liz. I'm also a baddie. I was originally diagnosed in 2012, stage 3, and then I was stage 4 in 2019. I have gone through it all with cancer. I was in a relationship the first time I was diagnosed. I was engaged. We never made it down the aisle. I was single. I had a baby, went through the baby mama period, was re-engaged, and now I'm single again and dating.
And then we do. I'm sorry, we do have the live button now, and they started going live right when you were on there. So I just again, you just wanted to let our audience know that we are talking about navigating the dating game with breast cancer. And I'm Brittany Church. I'm the host. I am a baddie from Cleveland, Ohio. For the rest of us, and I will be talking with Liz, Roxanne, Deltra, and Angela today. So Liz kind of told us, what's going on in her life right now. Roxanne, if you want to share.
Sure. So I was diagnosed with breast cancer in December 2015, and then stage 3C, re-diagnosed less than a year, stage 4, in 2016. I am a single mom of a 15-year-old, and I was not dating from the beginning of the diagnosis, but I started dating in 2021 through the pandemic. And so far, it's been going great. I can't complain. We don't live together, so that's maybe one of the things, I guess. I don't know, but it works so far.
Okay. What about you, Deltra?
Hi, I'm Deltra. I was diagnosed in 2019, stage 4, straight out the gate. At the time, I had been married for a decade, actually, 10-year anniversary that year that I was diagnosed. But my marriage was already crumbling. And, if you don't have a stable foundation, then something like a cancer diagnosis will just, really show even more cracks, which is what happened. So I went through a divorce in 2021. I started dating. I originally thought that, I would just use myself. For me, I was practicing solo polyamory. And then I wound up in a serious relationship again that I've been in for a couple of years. And really, really awesome guy. Love him. My kids love him. I have 5 really wonderful girls. So, yeah,
Nice.
off the market.
What about you, Angela?
Hey, I'm Angela. I was diagnosed with stage 2 breast cancer in March of 2016. I was dating before, dating after. Um, Dating was a struggle before, and it's a struggle after. Um, I was talking to someone at the time of my diagnosis, and he actually told me that it was best for me not to say anything because he felt that it was like people would want to see me struggle. Like he thought that it would not benefit me or something like that. And I just thought it was strange. I was just like, I have to tell my family, I have to tell my friends. But to him, he felt that I should keep it to myself and not tell anyone. So I thought that was weird. But yeah, we no longer talk. um, but after cancer, after I've been cleared and everything, it's just been a struggle, just dealing with self-esteem issues, with getting used to my new body, and it's been a ride, I should say.
Okay. So it's nice to hear. Angela, can you go on mute for me?
Huh?
Can you go on mute?
Mhm.
I don't know if that's okay. Yeah, I do hear some feedback. So thank you all for sharing where you are currently with dating with breast cancer. So my next question, and I'm going to ask everybody if you all can answer that because I don't know if you all experience this, but what are if you can share some of your anxieties that you've had with dating with breast cancer? I know, Angela, you kind of touched on it already, with like, getting used to your new body. But does anybody have anything else to add? And you all can just kind of jump in.
I'll jump in. I know for me, a big thing is always when do I tell them?
Mm-hmm.
I am only 33 years old, and in my age group, these people are thinking about starting families and having babies. I made the hard decision to get my ovaries removed. So having that conversation in this age bracket, like, do you reveal it on a first date? Do I put it on my Tinder profile? Do I wait to see if I really like them? Because when do normal people talk about having kids?
Mm-hmm.
So I've run into that a lot, and especially in the age of online dating, where I've put it on my Tinder page, and then guys are like, "Oh, you have stage 4 cancer. What does that mean?" And then it's like they're dating me as an experiment, and then guys on the other side of it who are like, "Are you for real? Like, you're not for real. Like, is this just like your catch line?" Which is also very weird and very strange.
Right. Nobody wants to join this family, okay? Anybody else have anything to add?
I'll jump in.
Mm-hmm.
So the person I've been dating since 2021 already knew that I had breast cancer. So it was not new to him. So I guess the anxiety that I had at the beginning of the first few months is like, my new body, like Angela says, like how, if he's going to accept who I am and how I look, being that I've had, I had one my right breast was, had a mastectomy, and then I had a deep flap as well. So a lot of scarring, as you know, as we go through this. Um, and I, forewarned him, and then he was like, it's who you are. I take you for who you are, or that doesn't matter to me. So that was very comforting for him to tell me that. So it got, it was fine. It's been great, and he's been through it with me throughout this whole time. And I'm happy. I try not complicate myself and just try to enjoy every moment, every day to the fullest, and just trying to not to. I'm not the person that I used to be. That was very selfish and argumentative
Mm-hmm.
with my past boyfriends.
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm just like, I don't even really argue. I just try to make, not trying to complicate my life. I already have enough complications. I don't need to make it worse. So try to be easygoing, which people that knew me before my diagnosis and know me now, it's like, oh my God, you're such a different person.
Mm-hmm.
Like you used to fight about everything. And now it's just like, you're so laid back. I'm like, because I realize it's not worth it.
Yeah, life experiences will shape it for
Hmm.
sure.
Yeah.
Um, Anybody else like to add anything additional? Um,
Yeah, I think I would say that my big thing was, um, I mean, I was 33 when I was diagnosed. I'm 38 now. I have to think about that. But my big thing was just navigating relationships, knowing that a lot of people are looking for someone that they feel they have that, I call it false security, but they get to have the illusion of like forever with, you know. And so for me, um, that was kind of my biggest concern going into dating because I didn't have to have any surgeries, so I was pretty healthy presenting since I was stage 4 right from the beginning. I didn't have any surgeries, so I could pass off as a healthy person when I started
mhm.
dating. But I still, and like Liz said, it was really tricky to know when to tell someone. So I also played around with like just putting it straight out there and on my profile, or sometimes depending on what I was looking for, which personally I was not looking for something super serious. So I wasn't feeling like, oh, I owe it to anyone to tell them to share my diagnosis like really soon. Um,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I also had, I mean, I know that I share that I'm married and I have been married for a decade now. And when I was diagnosed, it was 6 years or 5 years. I can't remember. Um, but, I think that I still had to, even though I had been dating my husband for years, with this new body, I still had to get used to that. And, I had some self-esteem issues. And I mean, he would reassure me that, it doesn't matter. I'm okay with it. But in my mind, it was any little inclination, like, I'm like, I don't know if he really likes it type of thing. So I did go through some struggles, even being married, with just knowing that this is a new person. And like you said, Roxanne, what I used to do before, this diagnosis may have shaped some, it's not worth it. Life is too short. And so I feel like I came from that space as well, with changing a lot of things and trying to do things that for myself. But in terms of just like some anxieties with presenting my body to my husband, I still had some reservations with that. And I think that, caused a little shift in our marriage for a while. So yeah, I would agree that now another question I have for you all. So do you think that it's online dating? Is that the thing? I mean, I've kind of been off the scene a little bit, but I'm just wondering, because you and Deltra mentioned, your profile. Is that it? Like,
You know, where else am I going to meet somebody? Because, like, so I'll tell you, I started a new treatment Easter Sunday. I had an allergic reaction today, right?
Mhm.
Earlier today, I was in the hospital,
Oh,
getting
wow.
a steroid shot and a Benadryl shot. It's okay. Y'all know it's cancer life. It's the
Mhm.
norm for me. So I'm not going to meet people in the chemo ward or at the hospital. All the cute doctors seem to have girlfriends or they married. I really don't have like good looking nurses. Um, at my job, I work with a lot of older people. Everyone's married. And I feel like sometimes, like when I go out to like a bar with my friends, like I said, I am in the age group where a lot of my friends are also married. So
Mhm.
it's like we're not on the scene scoping for guys. So that does just leave online dating, which even if you don't have cancer, everyone knows that it's hit or miss online. And I think with me, what's been a lot of fun is that I did one of those topless photo shoots and have a social media presence. So that
Mhm.
has also kind of helped having that link with
Mhm.
the body issues because it's like you already see what this looks like. You see what's going on. I had a double mastectomy and I had reconstruction. And I'm like, you can see it all. If you don't like it, please go away. Don't waste my time.
And that's really big of you to be as open and free, because some people are very reserved, like myself. I separate my social medias. So I don't know if I was back in the day and say I have no clue, but I'll be calling y'all because I'm like, what do we do next? You see, I'm asking like, is this a thing now? Because I met my husband at the club, but that was about 15 years ago. So I don't know. But
Can I chime in?
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say that I tried that before my diagnosis, and and I'm 49.
Uh
I'm probably much older than all of you guys, but that was a lot of work. So
Online dating.
I like the old school at the bar or just on a walk or whatever. And like this relationship that I'm in, I wasn't looking at all. I was worried about what I had to do about for myself. So then, I was like, okay, let's try this out. And then 3 years later, almost 3 years later, we're still going at it. So if things would not work out, I'd probably just go back to like, okay, well, whatever. I wouldn't be looking again. It just if it appears when you're not looking, it appears. It seems like
Mm-hmm.
so.
It seems like they come out of thin
Right.
blue sky.
Mhm.
um.
Yeah, I was gonna say online dating is only been the only option because I don't get approached out when I'm out and about, and I'm not a clubber either. So they would have to catch me either at Target or the grocery store. But online dating was the only way to meet men, and it has not been successful. I mean, I met some guys where they were cool enough to, we could just be friends, not on a romantic level, but it's a lot of frauds out there. So unfortunately, online dating is the only avenue to go through for me.
Wow. Okay. That's nice. I mean, that's information for me to know in case I ever gotta get out there. No, just kidding. Um, but yeah, so I mean, you all kind of already touched on my next question was like, how honest do you be? And I know that, like Liz, you said I played around with, I told people up front, then I told them like, let me wait. Delta, I heard you said the same thing. What about you, Angela? Are you pretty upfront with? Um,
I kind of wait. It. I'm trying to figure out when did it come up. I don't normally just say it up front, like, "Hey, I had breast cancer." Normally, if we talk about tattoos, I may say, "Oh, I have a little special tattoo," and they be like, "Of what?" And I have to say, "Oh, my areola," and then it goes into that. Or if I meet someone, like I said, online, they want to know what your social media is, and of course, I'm not as vocal a lot, but they can see or they can tell that I had it. So um, the ones that I have told, it has taken quite a bit of conversations for me to tell them that. So,
mhm.
but yeah, nothing up front. I think that's it could be. I don't want that heavy conversation.
Right, because like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
Right, like, I get that. I get that. Um, so what about like what's some tips? I see, Elias, you told me you embraced your double mastectomy. You had a topless photo shoot. I mean, that is so brave. That is so brave. Um, but like, what would you share with like some other baddies who is trying to embrace this new body? Like, what tips would you all share?
For me, I would say practice falling in love with yourself first.
Mm-hmm.
I know, like I said, I had my double mastectomy at 22, so I felt like I made that decision as a child. Yeah.
Wow.
So, and I remember that when, like I said, I was 22 when I was diagnosed. I remember when I made that decision, I was just thinking like, oh, I'm gonna have these big old boobs. I was like a barely A, like I was like super flat. And I was thinking like, I'm gonna have these big old boobs. I'm gonna have this beautiful tattoo. You won't even be able to tell. And everyone in the breast cancer space knows that's not how it plays out.
Mm-hmm.
But that was how I thought it was going to play out in my head. So my boyfriend at that time, even at that young age, he was like, well, you've never had like a big butt and you never had boobs. So, your face was always cute. So at least you always have that. And in my head, I was like, you know what? You're right. I've never had like a crazy body, but my smile has always been good. And I kind of carried that with me. And I fell in love with that. And I feel like through the photo shoots, I've done the tablets, I've done the regular photo shoots as well. Just really looking at myself and being like, how can I expect anybody to love me and take me seriously if I can't do that for myself? So I really had to get there. And it was hard. Like I've gone through all the stages where I was like, well, maybe if I do this to my hair, it'll be a little bit different. Like I had green hair at one point, and I was like, well, if they're looking at my green hair, they're not going to see that I don't have any nipples. I don't know why in my head that was my thought process. It didn't work out, and I still had to have those conversations. But that's definitely like my number one tip. And then my second tip is, be comfortable with that person before opening up that door. I think with my instant disclosure, I bring a lot of humor to it. And I tell guys, like, if I told you I had diabetes, you wouldn't be reacting this way. So let's think about it that way. Like, I have diabetes. I got to get blood work done. I got medicines every day, except instead of diabetes, I have breast cancer. And kind of opening the door up that way and like being like, we can laugh. Y'all know in the breast cancer space, we laugh with each other all the time. So kind of bringing that into the dating world where I have the guy laughing at me too. So it doesn't feel, like Angela said, as heavy. That's really my advice.
Okay. Anybody else with some good tips?
Yeah, I would say that it's important to, like Liz said, make sure that you feel confident in yourself. That's true for anyone. Like you got to be ready for rejection. And then when you have like additional stuff, like for me, it's not that of course it crossed my mind like, man, I'm divorced. I have a bus full of children. And I have a cancer diagnosis, like a very serious cancer diagnosis. But I was like, but I'm still me. and I have my personality and all the things about me that I know are fun and interesting and make me a good friend and it would make me a good partner. So I was really secure, so I was never, I mean, I could just keep it moving, if somebody, it was like a no for them. And my therapist, who I adore, was really good when I was first stepping back out there to remind me, it doesn't make someone a bad person if they can't like deal with your stuff. Like that's okay. And there's some really legit reasons too. Like perhaps I don't know, maybe they like lost a loved one to breast cancer they've dealt with before, and it could be like triggering for them and maybe they don't want to like take on because I think it can be different to like bring someone new into your life with stuff as opposed to someone who's already in your life and things come in that they have to deal with.
Mhm.
Um, I was sensitive about that and understanding it didn't bother me if for whatever reason someone couldn't deal with my stuff. Um, but for me, it was important to know what I was looking for and what other people are looking for because it has to be aligned, right? Like if I'm not looking for like someone to marry, then I want to date other people who also are looking for someone to marry. And I couldn't date someone who's like looking to have children because like Liz, I don't have my ovaries anymore. Anyway, like my baby factory, I was like it already put out 5 awesome products.
You gotta come with your own, huh? Like
Yeah.
it's
Um,
out here.
yeah, so that was the big thing. I was like, obviously, I'm going to date someone who's looking for the same thing that I am. I think another thing that was important was I already have my awesome like support system, like my friends and family. So anyone else would just be a bonus. My current partner tells me that was a big part of why we worked because he didn't at any point feel like I was, I don't want to use the word desperate. That's not the word. But like he didn't feel like pressure. Like,
Mhm.
oh, this girl has a lot of baggage and she's
Right.
gonna want me to carry it. It was like this girl might have a lot of baggage, but like listen, I'm just my baggage is fine and I got a whole bunch of people I'm rolling deep who are like helping me carry my baggage. So then he saw it as like an honor because he cared about me as a person to be like, oh, I also want to come in and help carry some of
Mhm.
these
Mhm.
bags, So that was important. The same thing, like I said, with when to share my diagnosis. Um, I always feel like I was just real fortunate to meet some rather compassionate people who were understanding, but I definitely shared at different points and was just kind of braced myself, I guess, for whatever reaction I was gonna get. Like Liz said, humor is a very good, useful tool
Mhm.
when
Now,
you're sharing.
did you? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just
I was
saying humor
gonna ask
is
you.
useful.
I was gonna ask you. Did you meet your You met him online too? Your
Yeah,
right.
yeah. Sorry guys, I'm not old school whatsoever.
No, I mean, like you said, you've met some really compassionate people, and then like,
And I think it was easier, especially if you do want to play around being very upfront and like adding things in your profile. Like for me, and I still use this phrase, it was like cute but cancery.
it
uh,
did. You get
but it's
questions.
already out there, and it's not an awkward in-person conversation, which can be nice. So,
Okay. Um, Angela, any tips?
Um, I had a D flap, and I'm still working on embracing my body because I've gone through the weight gain and etc. So I've always had like these love handles, and I was mad that the doctor didn't take them away. So now my scar looks like a handlebar, like it just like in front of a bike, one of them old school bikes. So it's like, well, I'm trying to trick myself, like, oh, there's something that he can hold on to, like for real, or like, I don't know. I'm kind of a jokester as well, so going the comedic route is a good thing as well. So, um, yeah, I think maybe look in the mirror as well, like every day, and just rub on yourself, love on yourself, and just say or keep in mind that those scars are just a reminder of why you're still here.
Mm-hmm.
I think
Yeah.
that's
Um, My husband's favorite line is when I started gaining weight and from the cancer meds and things like that, he will always say, if you ain't too nothing, you can't do nothing. So I'm like, yeah, I don't want to be too something. Okay. But I've been fluctuating with my weight. So I thank y'all for the tips that y'all give me because whew, like someone said in the comments, can't believe that this body weathered this storm. Every day I'm like coming in here when my arm is aching. I'm like, oh my God, what, how, why? And then there's other days I'm like, I'm so happy. Sometimes you gotta look at the silver lining in it. Because it opened up doors for me. So it opened up a lot of doors for me. Although some of the doors I didn't really want to come and knock at, but um I have some confidence, more confidence in that area. But I am definitely still working on body image for myself. So I do want to say thank you um, for those tips and tricks, and I'm sure the audience can agree too. But since we're talking about online dating, and I'm not super familiar, I don't know if our audience is either. But one of the other questions was, what are some like red flags or what are the green flags that you would say like, oh yeah, no, it's a no. I'm not even going nowhere. I'm not even meeting you nowhere. Um, like I mean, with the profile, before you even get off the computer, it's like, no, don't even worry about it. X, like, what does that look like?
Go ahead, Angela.
I say Google is your friend. Um,
So you are the person on there, huh? Okay. Okay.
I'm that person. You know, I met somebody who was definitely living a double life, and I didn't know. But at this time, like I didn't Google him, but I knew after that to start Googling people. But he, child, and it was messed up about it was, of course, like we were dating for like a whole month. Didn't know he had a whole fiance. Didn't
Oh.
know he had way more kids than he said he
Oh.
had. It was just a whole, like, I felt like I was in a movie, a Lifetime movie or something like that. So and it kind of messed up because I'm a very giving person, right? And I think a red flag is when they try to give you a sob story and they want money. Now, I didn't give him a whole lot, but at this time it was like around Christmas and he was just like, oh, um I just spent all this money on gifts and I don't have no money for groceries. So I gave him like, I think like $40. And he knew my situation as well. So when I found out all this extra stuff, and y'all don't understand how pissed I was.
Mhm.
And I was just like, dang, like I got duped. And the person who told me was the fiance. And she was told me that she knew about my situation and stuff like that. So that also like why I don't want to share my diagnosis so early, you know.
Mhm.
But she knew about it and child, it was so yeah, just know to try to Google people when you meet these people online. Use their phone number. I
Mhm.
just recently met somebody online last year and was liking him and everything. And he went ghost on me after like a month. And so I had Googled his number before, and the first thing that popped up was a LinkedIn account. Now, I didn't click on it because, you know, people can see who looked at their profile on LinkedIn. So I didn't look at it, but it matched his name and everything like that. So when he went ghost, I Googled his number again, and the LinkedIn account popped up, and I clicked on it, and it was a white person. He was black. So
Hmm.
I'm like, I'm confused. Like the same first and last name that he gave me and everything like that, but the LinkedIn account profile, it was kind of inactive. Like you didn't have much on there, but the profile picture was a white man. So I was confused. So it's kind of hard. So
Had you met him in person?
mhm, we went on a couple of dates and everything like that.
Mm.
So not enough to where like I went to his house or anything like that, but we did go on a couple of dates. So he just kind of went ghost after a few weeks. So um after that, I didn't go back online. Like that was like the end for me. Like I was done.
Taking a,
Online
you think
dating.
you're taking a break, or you?
Said it again.
I said you think you're taking a break, or you're like done with online dating.
Right now, I'm good.
Okay.
Like and I can say I have got back on it, but I always got back off because it was like I don't want to waste my time. But I'm also kind of hoping, like, Lord, just think, like, drop him next to me, like, bring him to my front door, like, when or something. I don't know what it would take, but the amount of disappointments I've had going through with online dating, I don't want to go through it again. So right now, it's a no.
Yeah, I'm with Angela. Luckily I'm here in Maryland and we have case search. I case search every man. Every single one before we meet. I'm like, I need your first and your last name. And if you don't want to give it to me, then that's a red flag.
Mhm.
I work for the government, so I done seen some crazy things.
Mhm.
And it makes me wary. So going into, I get where Angela is coming from. Like, you don't know these men's intentions. My two best friends, though, they met their husbands on Tinder. So it always gives me hope. But I also was around when they were going on a different date every day of the week, sometimes 2 dates in one day, trying to meet men. And it's true, you got to kiss a lot of frogs to find your prince. But I think like so I've gone on some really nice online dates with guys. I think like some green flags for me have always been, especially like I'll deliver the news and let them know in the chatting stage before we even exchange phone numbers. Because I don't need any more numbers in my phone. I'm good. I've had this phone number since I was 14. So I have a lot of numbers and a lot of people got this number. And I think like in that conversation, when I let them know, their reaction to it kind of tells me a lot. So like some guys are like, I mean, I get a million questions. So what's your treatment like? What's going on? What's the biggest red flag that your doctor has given you? Like they're into it. And then I'm like, okay. And then we never kind of move on. And I realize that's not the man I want to date because my cancer is going to be the thing. Everything is going to go back to my cancer. If I'm tired, oh, is it your cancer? If I'm, nauseous from over drinking, oh my gosh, it's your cancer. No, I'm just drunk. Like it has nothing to do with my cancer. But then I think on the flip side is I actually met a really great guy. We've been dating for a year. We're not together. So I still go out and date other people. But I think what was a major green flag for him is that when I told him about my cancer, he kind of was like, he let me take the lead and was like, okay, well, if you want to talk about it, we can talk about it. And if you don't, then we don't. And we'll just talk about other things. And I think that's why now a year down the road, like we have a date tonight. We're going to go get Mexican food tonight after this. It's amazing that he knows I have cancer. He knew I was at the hospital earlier today, but now the conversation has moved on to other things. So I think those are just major green flags when a man, you tell him and he moves on. And also like when you can have, y'all know we experience hot flashes, and we were cuddling one night and I was sweating and he was like, oh, are you hot? Yo, the air was set to like 60 in my apartment. And I was like, no, that's not. But being able to laugh in those moments when I'm like sweating all over him, that I'm like, this would have been so awkward with anyone else. So I think that's just another major green flag that, you can be that level of comfort. With me and him, it's not going to work out because one day he does want kids and he knows like it's just not possible with me. And like those conversations kind of suck because otherwise, cancer wouldn't have been in my life. Who knows what would have happened? Maybe I would have decided to have another kid. I don't know. My 8-year-old is a lot. Delta, I don't know how you do it with 5 girls because it wouldn't happen. But that's definitely a major green flag for me is just being able to be comfortable around someone and online being able to get over the cancer conversation.
That's good. I feel you when you saying you don't want to continuously like cancer just leading every conversation you all have. I think that's a really good green flag when somebody can move on from it because it's already taken a lot from us anyway. I don't know, for me, I don't like to continuously just keep talking. Like, I'm connected with a lot of people because of it, but I don't want it to just define that relationship. Like, even every conversation we're talking about like we know that we're connected that way, but let's talk about other things. So I definitely hear you with that. Roxanne also put in the chat, cancer doesn't define us, and I do agree with that. I am very, very, and this is not even in terms of dating, but when people are like, I remember and this is so off topic, but I just need to share when Roxanne, you said cancer don't define us. I had did like a panel, and nobody even asked me, what they wanted, how I wanted to be presented on a flyer, and they presented me as the survivor. Oh, I was hot, because this is, first of all, this is not even a panel about just cancer. This was something completely different. How do you even know that's what I wanted to be recognized at? But that's so off topic. We're not even. I just wanted to say that because you say cancer doesn't define us, and so I do have to agree with that statement. But I have another question though. So for my NBC baddies, we kind of already talked about this. Like, were you really afraid to date? And I've seen that all of you all have already, Roxanne, you have a boyfriend, or you're dating someone. Deltra, same with you. Liz, you are very open to it. Maybe if I ask the question, earlier on in the diagnosis, like when you first got diagnosed, what did that look like? I know you're some years out, even thriving with NBC, but when you first got diagnosed, were you even thinking of, was that even something that was in the forefront of?
For me,
age. Okay.
So when I first got diagnosed, I was with my child's father. Mm-hmm. So but I was like Deltra, we weren't on the best foundation. And so it wasn't on my mind as dating, but definitely when we first broke up, I went a year and a half where I dated nobody. I had no dating profile because I didn't know at our age. Me and him broke up. We broke up for a while now. We broke up like right after I turned 31, or right before I turned 31. So I didn't know how I was going to navigate the dating space. And it was very scary. I remember the first guy, like the first date, I think I told him on Tinder, like in passing, like in a conversation, like 2 truths and a lie type of style. And we brushed past it. And I was like, oh, this is going to be amazing. And then on our first date, he was like, oh, like when you said that, I didn't think you were serious. And I was like, oh, why would I joke about this? What's going on here? So it put a really bad taste in my mouth. And I was like, oh, I can't be out here because men are not going to understand. Maybe I just need to date older men, or they might understand. So like I was pursuing that, friends trying to put me on. And then I was like, you know what? I can't do this. So I was like, Deltra, I had to get back in therapy. And I was like, I don't want a man to think, oh, I'm looking for a caretaker or anything. Because I would hope to get married one day, and that's one of my goals. But with men, like, I never want anyone to feel like, oh, I'm just looking for a man to take care of me because I could die young. Like, that's never what it is. So it was very scary going into that place and not knowing, like, okay, guys, in my age range, this isn't what they're looking for. This isn't an ideal situation. Cancer brings with it a whole bevy of debt too. Like, we're talking about student loans, and then we talk about hospital bills. Who wants to marry into that in the age when you should be trying to buy a house? So those types of things were just scary. And I realized that a lot of those fears that I had were my fears and my anxiety that I was bringing up. That now that I've been out there for a while, I'm like, guys would be jerks whether or not I had cancer. Guys would be jerks whether or not I had debt. Guys are going to be jerks because they can, the same way women can. And knowing that truth has made it a little bit unscary because I'm like, you know what? For every 10 guys that suck, I'm going to go on an amazing date. And that's how I look at it.
That's a good way to look at it. A really good way. Roxanne, anything?
So like I said, I had not been dating since my son's dad and I had broke up, which was when he was 2 years old. So I had been single since 2011 and 2020 to 2021. So I wasn't really focused on that. I was just focused on just on the now with my son, seeing him grow up. I mean, he's now 15, and that
Mhm.
was my priority, and he still is my priority.
Mhm.
But when then people are like, you got to enjoy yourself and meet people. And I wasn't looking, and like I said, it came about, and and but it's he's taking me for who I am. I've told him, I said, look, life is too short for you, for me, for anybody, but mine is shorter, is how I feel. And I feel that I just, I'm going to still do my thing. I'm going to still go hang out with my friends, because I was in a toxic relationship years before that. That I was just, couldn't do anything. I was just kind of like, I felt like I was in prison or something. And I was like, I go out with my girlfriends. I still go out. I do things. I'm not, and I don't want to get married. That's not one thing that's on my bucket list. So I'm okay with that. And he's already been married, so it works out. He doesn't have kids, so we're on the same page, and we complement each other. So
Mhm.
it's worked out that way, thankfully. So I don't know. I just feel that we just have to be comfortable with ourselves, such as Deltra and Liz had said, that we just have to love each other first, and that's the thing. I had that 10-year break of just loving myself first. And then when I got into a relationship, I knew what I wanted. And,
Mhm.
you know, what I do and what I don't. Nobody's coming to come here and change me for who, you know, because they wanted their way. It was my way, or take me for who I am, or as we all say, move on. Life is too short for us.
Mhm.
So, but I'm a happy person. I can't complain, and I'm grateful for every single moment that I get to spend with my son, and my boyfriend, and my girlfriends, and hopefully Deltra in the next few weeks I'll get to hang out with her.
Oh,
Liz
nice.
is going to the LBBC conference, but and so got my village of women. So it's great to get to know other people and in this space. So.
Love to hear that.
Hmm.
Delta, do you have anything to add? I know you kind of talked about it when you kind of introduced about how you started dating, but
Yeah, for me, I, at the time of my divorce, I felt like um, a lot of my life had been, I'll say, wasted. I got married really young, was very controlling, and I just knew I didn't want to waste no time. My divorce, like before the ink dried on my divorce papers, I was probably on a dating. I was like, listen, and I was very upfront. I wasn't looking, I, I remember very clearly, like my dating profile said, looking for people to do fun fall stuff with, because I love fall. It's my favorite, and I just wanted to like get out there. I definitely was not trying to hang out with nobody, who I guess is the thing to do nowadays, just immediately like come over to somebody's house. And then you get in that cycle of not going out. I was like, no, I'm trying to go out and like do things and like live and have fun. And that's what I met people do. I had a lot of fun experiences. I didn't feel like my cancer needed to be at the forefront. If I had a day where I wasn't feeling good, to them it was just a regular somebody not feeling good experience. But the people who stuck around, that those relationships turned into really good friendships or whatever. We had a good vibe between us, and we hung out well past fall. Then I just, as I felt comfortable or I felt it was appropriate, things came up. Then I shared. And it's kind of at that point where I felt like, one, I'm not asking anything of these people. They still have the option to like, get out of having any sort of relationship with me or not. Um, but they showed themselves to be pretty good people, because just on like a friend, in a basic human decency level, they showed me compassion. Like I went through a lumpectomy as I was in the midst of like just dating, and I at that point I had multiple people who were like, well, let me know if you need anything, or showed up with like you know goodies and stuff for me while I was like recovering. I'm trying to say hello. Yeah, so that's kind of how that worked out. And then just like Roxana's experience, me and my boyfriend we're just very compatible with like what we want and how we view things. Um, I think there's something to be said about not living together. Neither of us would be really like it that way. I mean, like I said, I got married very young, and for me right now, like my bedroom is all girly and stuff. Because I'm like, oh, this is just my space. It's just girl central over here, and any man who gets to like come into our space is like a privilege. But yeah, right now we're just so comfortable. He likes having his space. That's his personality. I like having my space. He's a childless by choice kind of person, but he's good with kids, and that works because I'm not having any more kids. Uh, so yeah, it's just about uh, finding people that you're well aligned with and who want the same thing.
Okay, good. Thank you for that. And I think we are really close to time. So, this is my last question for you all. How do you feel like your family and friends support your like your relationships? Do you feel like that maybe some people are super boisterous, or people concerned, or what does that look like?
That's a very good question. I'll go really quick and just say this is really funny because you guys can check out the For the Breast of Us blog because I wrote a post that is basically about this, where I felt a lot of judgment
Hmm.
after the divorce for how quick I started dating. And so I just kind of really early on shared, like, listen, you've not been in my shoes. You can't say what you would do if you're in my situation. If I got divorced from a 10-year marriage and I was a healthy person and I felt like I had the illusion of like, feeling invincible, like I have all the time in the world, then yeah, I probably would have taken time to like heal. But I did learn that you don't have to be like a fully healed person to be lovable and worthy of love. And a lot of my healing has happened within my relationship because I'm with a safe person. Um, and so I don't regret, the pace that I moved at. But I definitely got judgment for that and for, just how I was exploring. But really quickly, I shut it down because I'm
Okay,
like, I don't want your opinions. I just want your support.
Angela, I think you were going off mute. Now you are.
Just real quick, I haven't really dated anybody long enough for me to mention it to my family. Like I have an older brother. He doesn't know my dating life, but my friends, I have two girlfriends I confide with, and they're pretty supportive in my dating life or whatever. But um, yeah, I haven't really talked to anybody else for real about me going on dates and such like that. So I'll just wait till I find somebody that's good enough for me to mention them to.
Okay, Roxanne.
No, thankfully, my family and my close friends and that have met him, really like him.
Hmm.
Like I said, from the past, I was in bad relationships, and so I didn't really have many guys to meet my sisters or my dad because my mom's passed away. Um, so he's actually, I'm like, yeah, you're the first one that's actually been able to meet my dad and well, he already knew my sisters before, but my dad is for a short time. And it just came to a point that, with this cancer, it's like what I was worried about before, I wasn't worried about it anymore. Before I was always like walking on eggshells, like, oh my God, are they going to like him or are they not? I knew they were not good enough, so they never came across. But with this person, he met him, and after a few months, he met my dad, and everything went well. Conversation was great. They get along, um, and I felt comfortable. And it was like, they're like, as long as you're happy, we're happy for you, and they enjoy him. So that's a big plus for me, and I feel comfortable with that. And if it wasn't like that, then it is what it is because it's my life at the end of the day. I mean, I'm 49 years old, so but no, they really do like him and enjoy his company. So that's a big plus for me. And my son, that's not his dad, but he does a lot of stuff with him too. Plays basketball, sports, go biking. So everybody's happy at this point.
Good.
Mm,
Yeah, like to hear that.
yeah.
Liz.
I say with my friends, when I was in a relationship before, my friends, like, you go through regular relationship stuff. I think my friends took it very hard because they took it as, how dare he put you through anything, um,
Hmm.
with you having cancer. And then now that I'm in this dating space, I know like I have one close friend. She comes to me to appointments and everything. And I think her biggest fear, like she's brought it up before, she's like, people die from broken hearts. So I would hate for you to, something be going great and then somebody break your heart and like you lose like your will. And I'm like, I'm not that type of person. But I realize that that's the fear that she carries with me being out here dating. So she's not necessarily judgmental about it, but she's very scared when I'm like, oh, you joke, you're like, my man, my man, my man, my man.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, but wait, are you sure? Because like, don't fall too fast, because da da da. And I'm just like, girl, it's people go through heartbreak and it's okay. People survive. And I think with her, like, she doesn't want anything to happen to me.
You're
And
very fragile to her.
yes, I'm very yes. And she's like very protective. Like even, her husband has single friends. And like when they ask about me, she's like, no, 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 because you dogged out that girl, that girl, that girl. So you can't date my Liz. And then when I find out about it, I'm like, oh girl, if I didn't have cancer, you would have put me on. Put me
Mm-hmm.
on now. So I am seeing that, and I have more friends that are now coming into that where they're like, well, you don't need a man. We'll help you with your daughter. We'll go to doctor's appointments with you. And I'm like, guys, like what happens when all of you are home with your men though?
Right.
What am I supposed to do? Cuddle with my pillow?
All right, and then I did tell you that was the last closing question, but not actually. But this will be the last one. We just want to make sure that we are, because we do have some people watching on Facebook, on Instagram, and so we want to just kind of close it up with any tips that you would give or any advice or that you would give to someone who's about to enter the dating scene. I know we talked about, loving yourself, but is there anything else that you would give someone who's newly diagnosed that may be coming out of active treatment or, maybe still in active treatment, but now is hitting the dating scene? Maybe it's been a few years for them. Is there any other additional advice or tips for them?
Just do it. Just
Just
do it.
do it.
My advice is just do it. Do what's best for you. The dating profiles aren't for everybody. You might have to go the old fashioned way, ask for some blind dates. Reach out to this community. We got brothers. And
Mm-hmm.
one thing about having brothers in this community, they know what the breast cancer, they know what it's about because they didn't see us go through it. So even then, you might be able to avoid the awkward conversation because they got sisters like us, so they know the game.
And Roxanne even mentioned in our chat, try meetups. I know one of my good girlfriends, she's doing it. I mean, she doesn't have cancer, but she's in a, like you said, it's just rough out here in general. She's definitely in the space where she's like, I don't know. I don't know, maybe Angela, maybe it's Texas. Maybe you need to come on out of there and go to Connecticut with Deltra, Maryland.
Girl,
My
listen.
girl is in Texas too, and she's going through it.
I'm not even from here. When I moved here, I just had this whole vision of how my life would be, and it's not going that way at all. It was like dating is a lot more difficult than it was back home. So you're right. He must not be here. I don't know where, but
You,
he must
you
not be here.
he might be on the in the Midwest.
But see, I'm from the Midwest. I'm from St. Louis, so it was bad there. So like, I don't know.
Okay,
Maybe it's
I have nothing.
But I do want to say, for those that are just getting out there, to be patient with yourself, give yourself grace. Don't go full throttle with it. I mean, you can do it, but don't just be out here just, you're still trying to figure yourself out as well. So just be patient, go with the flow. Um, Seek counseling as well if you need it, just not just for dating, but just for yourself with going through this journey. But just be easy on yourself. Take your time.
I'd have to agree with Liz and Angela as well. Just love yourself before you can, bring in anybody into your space, and just take your time. I mean, I know some people might be like, well, time, I don't have time, but I agree with Liz, also do it. But, just it's going to work out, and you just got to be patient with yourself and just take your time, and because you don't want to bring any toxic folks into we're already going through all of this through treatment and stuff, and to bring somebody that's just not going to be supportive, it's just not worth it. And loving yourself is very important before you can bring anybody in.
Brittany, you're muted.
Ooh, I am muted. It's been a long day. Okay. But thank you all for coming on. Joining Batty. Batty's little chemo brain. Batty talk back. Thank you. I did ask Marissa to bring this back because I do. I frequent our group a lot, and I see a lot of questions in there, and I know what helped me early on in my diagnosis, just seeing people that look like us. Um, Even being diagnosed very young. We navigate a different, sometimes we're navigating things differently. We have younger kids and dating. We're trying to navigate all of that. And so I think that these type of topics, once a month, are very important. And so I do want to say thank you for spending this hour with me. Let's connect via social media. I think I am connected with most of you, not Roxanne. Liz, I'm not sure, but let's connect. But thank you all for coming here, joining. If you want to drop any other tips in the group on Facebook, do so. And the reason why I thought this would be a good topic is somebody had actually asked about it, and it had got a lot of comments. It was like over 200 comments. So obviously, it was on somebody's heart and trying to figure this stuff out. So I'm hoping that what we just discussed this last hour will help some of our baddies, because we know, again, navigating this life with on top of cancer is it's a lot. So thank you all for joining, and I will see you all soon.
Thank
Good night.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone.